There are a number of dimensions of diversity. And when it comes to inclusive marketing, the first rule is that you have to choose. Really, it means that you want to choose which identities or which dimensions of diversity you're going to choose to ensure that they feel like they belong with your brand. Now, the reality is that for a lot of brands, there just aren't sufficient resources to serve everyone well. But we also need to contrast that with how can we think inclusively so that we're able to serve the broadest group of people in an authentic and effective way to support them in achieving success that they're looking for. That last part, I feel, becomes even more important when we're talking about events, and especially when it comes to business type of events, when the actual type of person the event planners are targeting is broad in terms of the identities that they hold. And even though events are on the whole becoming more inclusive, there are some dimensions of diversity that are not considered often enough that actually impacts a lot more people than leaders think. So we're going to talk about that today with my guest, Eman Ismail, founder of Eman Copy Co., an email copywriting agency. Eman and I had a really candid, fascinating conversation that I have a feeling you're going to love. So we're going to get right to it after this short break. Did you know that most businesses only use 20% of their data? That's like reading a book with most of the pages torn out or paying for a coffee that's just 1/5 full. Point is, you miss a lot unless you use HubSpot. Their customer platform gives you access to the data you need to grow your business. The insights trapped in emails, call logs, and transcripts, all that unstructured data that makes all the difference. Because when you know more, you grow more. And when you get a full cup of coffee, you can do more too. But I digress. Visit HubSpot.com today. Hey, Eman, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hey, I am good. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, well, I think we're going to have a really fun chat. It's a little different, but I like different, right? Like that's the whole objective of this podcast, right? So before we get into it, tell the people, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Eman Ismail. I am the founder and head email strategist at Eman Copy Co., which is a micro email agency. So we do email strategy and copywriting for course creators, coaches, service providers, personal brands, basically companies that want to do email better and make more money from their emails.
Very cool. Well, who doesn't want to, as business owner or as a brand leader, who doesn't want to make more money for their brand, right? Like, so
Exactly.
we definitely need that. And I think sometimes we probably forget, just for the amount of emails that we receive, we probably forget, like as consumers, right? Whether it's for work or whether it's for personally, like I think we probably underestimate the importance of email whenever we're thinking about it for our brand. But like I mean, there's so many emails that are in my inbox, right? So yeah, I'm imagining that you think that people should be thinking more about this than they are.
Yes. I was going to say you get a lot of emails, but is there anyone whose emails that you will always read or that you look out for?
For a long time, I used to read Tarzan's email. And I know you had Tarzan as a guest on your podcast, which I love. That's actually how I discovered you, right? Listening from an email that Tarzan sent about being on your show. And the reason why I like her email so much because she's telling stories. So even though they're work emails, they sort of feel like maybe I'm watching social media or something like that, right? And so I think it's the distinction where it's not quite like so transactional or let me sell you something kind of thing. I enjoy stories, right? So it's nice to be able to have
that. And that's the thing. Like that's the goal. The goal is to create emails that people can't wait to open, that people that help people feel super connected to you so that when you see their name in your inbox, you immediately want to open and read, you know?
Yeah.
And so there will always be those standout people in your inbox. And it's those that you want to aim to be, because those are the people who know how to sell through email. If they can keep you hooked and engaged, especially when they're not selling, they're the people who are going to make money and know how to make money from their emails.
Very cool. All right. Well, good to know. And I'm glad to know that you're helping your clients tell those stories and keep people hooked, right? All All right. So we're going to have a chat today more from like the consumer attendee perspective. And the impetus of this is really around events, but I think that people can extend this to a lot of other types of things because probably like email, there are a number of events that we go to for work and otherwise that we don't necessarily classify in our head as events, but it's the same type of impact or feeling that we need to be thinking about. So I want to know, what is it about events for business? And we'll start there. That doesn't always make it easy for people who have an underrepresented and underserved identity to fit into what is considered to be quote unquote normal or mainstream.
Yes. Okay. So I have quite a lot of different identities. I'm a woman. I'm Black. Even within that, I'm from different places in the world. So I'm not just from one place. I am a mother. I'm Muslim, and then I feel like it's different. I'm visibly Muslim. You can see from the clothes that I wear. When you look at me, you can see that I'm Muslim, which isn't always the case with men or
Yeah.
with other women as well sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm a mother. So loads of identities, but the one that is kind of most at the forefront when it comes to events for me is the fact that I'm Muslim. And so I don't drink alcohol, but it's more than that. I don't basically put myself in environments where alcohol is the main thing.
That's the main attraction.
The main attraction, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So you wouldn't really find me in a bar, in a pub, and then people get confused because like, yeah, but you can still come, but just like don't drink alcohol, like drink an orange juice. I don't know. But it's not just about the drinking of the alcohol. It's the wider environment as well.
Yeah.
And I have found basically that it's been really difficult to go to events because a lot of the time, and I feel like most people don't notice this, especially if you do drink, you probably haven't noticed this, but maybe you'll notice now that I'm saying it. A lot of events are centered around alcohol, business events centered around alcohol. And even if it's not like really overt, like the other day I was looking at a business event and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Like, because I don't go to a lot of business events where I am. And it was pizza and beer. Like the title of the event was pizza and beer. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was really excited about that one.
Yeah.
And then if it's not really overt like that, then it's like the environment that it's in. It's a networking event at a bar.
Yeah.
Or even, I don't know, I want to say a club, but it's not quite a good, it's still, it's like, it's bar dancing, let's all like, have a great time, which is fine.
Yeah.
But also it would be really great if there were some alternatives. That would be really great because, the thing is Muslims who practice the way I practice just won't attend these events.
Yeah.
We were excluded from these events, even though we want to join in. We want to be included and we want to take part and we want to get involved.
Right.
And then, there are people have conversations about, well, this community or that community, well, they don't integrate with us. Well, we don't see them. They're just not here. Well, usually there's a reason why you don't see them, And so that's something I found really difficult. I recently spoke at an event and there was the networking part of the event, like the evening, like all get together and like, let's get to know each other. And both nights it was in a bar. And so I wasn't able to, and I chose not to attend. And it was, it's fine because I know I make that decision and I was actually fine just going back to my hotel. I need to practice my talk and whatever else. But also, I did miss out on business opportunities. I missed out on meeting people. It's between the talks and stuff and when you're chatting to people and you get to know people, that relationships are built and business opportunities are built. So I'm very aware of what's being missed. And so that's the first challenge is that alcohol is events being centered around alcohol.
I'm going to pause there. I'm going to come back to the other one. Okay. Because I think that you are presenting this challenge is around alcohol from the perspective of your religion. Now, but there are plenty of people who don't drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. Yeah. And I've just never been someone who drank alcohol. And I remember whenever I worked in corporate, that was one of the things, like you said, like so many events
Yeah.
sales meetings, and these are opportunities to network, and everyone is drinking. And I remember having like a conversation when I was at like a work meeting, and one of my colleagues is like, well, why don't you drink? And I'm like, well, because I don't want to. He's like, but why? Like, what is the reason? Like, I was being drilled, and it was because I don't want to. Right. And so,
Mm.
but imagine if it was someone who had a health condition who didn't want to share that about their health condition,
Yeah.
or let's say someone who had a history of being an alcoholic, right? And so we're excluding all those people who don't want to be in this environment, or who find it, like, I don't want to say tempting or just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that increasingly there's more and more like a sober movement popping up.
Yeah.
And so I think that business leaders really need to reconsider this in particular for religion, but also for there's just a cohort of people who don't drink.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
we, shouldn't feel shamed for that, right?
I'm really, really glad that you said that, because that has been, that's what I found. Whenever I speak openly about this, I get so many people who are not Muslim,
Mhm.
who respond to me, who reply, who let me know, hey, I'm in exactly the same position and I'm not Muslim.
Yeah.
Like I don't drink either because I just don't want to, or specifically maybe for health reasons.
Yeah.
I even had someone say to me, I'm a recovering alcoholic and I cannot be in those environments.
Right.
And so I can't attend business events.
Right.
I can never attend them. And I never even thought of it from that perspective. And that was amazing. And like you said, there is definitely a bigger sober movement that's where people are choosing not to and would like alternatives.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally agree. There was something else you said, your experience in corporate. I think this came from the corporate
Yeah.
world, where people move into the business world, and then it just kind of,
Yeah.
follows us into the business
Yeah.
world. But I would actually say in the workplaces I worked in, I had the same problem too. Whenever we were ever invited to go somewhere, it was always a bar, it was always a pub.
Yeah.
And I think it made me look like I didn't want to socialize. I didn't
Yeah.
want to be part of like what was going on. And that wasn't the case
Mhm.
at all. I would love to spend time with you outside of work. I would
Yeah.
love that. Can we do something else? Can we go
Yeah.
to a cafe? Can we go? Like one time there was a conversation about ice skating. I was like, I'm there. Let's go ice skating,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's not just for one community. It's actually lots
Yeah.
of communities.
Yeah, yeah. I love this example that you brought it up. And I think more people need to do that. Even like the pizza and beer thing. I couldn't do it because I can't drink beer, right? Like
Yeah.
beer is highly gluten, right? Like, so it's not
Yeah.
something that I couldn't even do. But okay, so you had another one that you said is a very common sort of othering that kind of negatively impacts people. What was that?
Okay, so the other one is, again, it's related to my religion, but I will say that even if it wasn't related to my religion, I think I'd still have exactly the same issue just because of my personality. And I also just want to make the disclaimer that I don't represent all Muslims. I don't speak for all Muslims.
Yeah.
Just like you'll see different variations of different people from different religions, or from the same religion living in different ways.
Right.
I can't speak for all Muslims. However, I know that I speak for a certain community in the business world who will feel the same way that I do. So another issue is that I basically don't engage in physical touch with men who aren't related to me. So it's similar to me wearing my hijab, my scarf. Only the males who are related to me will see me without my headscarf, basically.
Mhm.
And in the same way, I only physically touch males who are related to me. Son, husbands, uncle, brothers, grandfathers, father, of course.
Right.
And so this causes an issue when I go to events, and forget handshaking, because we're so far past handshaking. That was an issue 10 years ago. Now everybody is like hugging everyone.
Yeah.
Which is great if you're a hugger.
Yeah.
But I'm not a hugger at the best of times. Let's put my religion to one side.
Yeah.
I don't hug people I don't know. It took me 10 years to be able to hug my best friends. So it's a very uncomfortable situation for me. And can I just say also, I have friends who are Orthodox Jews who say, I had this conversation. I think I posted something about it on LinkedIn. And I had friends who were Orthodox Jews who commented and said, I had no idea that that's part of Islam.
Right.
That's also part of Orthodox Judaism too. And then I had
Wow.
friends and people get involved in the conversation who said, I'm not Muslim and I'm not a Jew and I just don't want people to touch me. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be hugged. I don't want to be touched. And so it creates a situation where
Yeah.
I'm at events. And of course, I don't blame anyone because the normal, like natural thing that we're used to on this side of the world, because just to be clear, on the other sides of the world, in other places in the world, this isn't normal. On our side of the world, in the West, you would shake someone's hand. So I then have to like prepare a little like thing where I let them know very quickly under a lot of pressure, because you have like a split second.
Yeah.
In a situation as well where I don't want to make the other person feel uncomfortable. I don't want to embarrass them. I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I don't want to make them feel like less than. I don't want to make them feel weird about it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But I say, hey, I'm so sorry. I don't shake hands, or I don't hug, but it's really great to meet you. I'm so excited to meet you, et cetera, et cetera. And then we just kind of like trying to move it along. And the last event I went to, it went really well, but I spent the entire 2 days literally ducking out of hugs and avoiding hugs.
Oh my gosh.
From men specifically, because with women, and it was usually women that I knew and that I felt comfortable with. They'd hug me and it'd be fine. With men specifically, I'd be like dodging hugs for the whole 2 days, to the point that my friend who was with me, she was like, I'm exhausted just watching this. Like, I don't know how you deal with this.
Because you probably don't even notice it until like you see how it makes them comfortable. Just really quickly, I have like a, oh my goodness moment. Last year, I was at a conference and I remember, I'm a hugger, right? And I remember I went up and I hugged this woman that I met her online. Like I know her online. We're connected, and I was so excited to see her, and I hugged her. And then later on, like maybe the next day, I saw her and I hugged her, and I could feel she didn't want me to hug her. And I was just like, oh, like I felt so bad. Like I realized too late, right? Like, and it's been a year and I'm still thinking about, I want to crawl under a rock, like, but it was one of those things where it made me more aware of like, how do we give cues to make it easier? Or even as like, how can we, as we're planning events, make it easier so people don't have to do like this dodge hug Olympics, or put that discomfort so that it makes it clear, like, hug me, don't hug me, right? Like shake, like, you know what I mean? But I think like, how can we better help? Like, you know how we do pronouns to help you not misgender someone? It might be helpful even to do something from like a physical touch standpoint. I'm okay for the physical touch. I'm not okay.
Okay, well, here's the thing. COVID was clearly a very difficult time period. It was a horrible time period. But it was also great for me in that people aren't touching you. Like nobody was touching anybody. Touch was gone out the window for a good 2 years. And so it was, I didn't have to think about the handshake. I didn't have to think about the hugs. I didn't have to think about any of it. And when during COVID, when there were, I think it was right after, the pandemic's still not over, but towards the end of the worst of the pandemic and the lockdowns, certainly in the UK anyway, when we started having events again, events started maybe introducing kind of lanyards that would say whether you were comfortable with someone shaking your hand or hugging you or whatever else. And that was because of COVID. And I went to an event, I spoke at an event in Spain that did this. And we had lanyards that were color-coded that basically told people whether we were comfortable with shaking hands, et cetera, et cetera. And so the event that I just spoke at a couple of months ago, after I kind of brought up this conversation, we had this conversation, the event host said, I think we'll go back to doing that next year. And so, and because it's not just me, it's not just, and again, I'm speaking as a Muslim.
It's a form of consent,
it is.
Right? And I think that we have to sort of let go of our own personal styles and preferences so that we're not, as I did last year, infringing or not getting consent, whether it's verbal or implied, right? Like, from the other person before we touch them.
No, absolutely. And, some people think that this conversation is really silly, but I think that it really does go back to just consent. Like, in what world would we force physical touch on someone else?
Yeah.
When would we touch someone who doesn't want to be touched or who doesn't feel comfortable being touched?
So, sorry, I just thought of an example. I don't know if you remember during the FIFA Women's World
Yeah,
Cup
I do.
last year, there was this
Mm-hmm.
big scandal where whenever I think the team from Spain won,
Yeah.
and I think one of the male coach or trainers or whatever, he kissed on the lips one of the players, and she
Yeah.
was very upset about it. Like it was like a forced thing because it's like you don't have my
Yeah.
consent, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's so shocking that there was even debate about
Yeah.
that, whether it was okay or not. And just so you know, I feel like it happens. It's especially
Yeah.
when you know someone and you're excited to see them
Yeah.
and you're happy to see them. And can I just say that's what was happening with a lot of the men that I met. These are people
Yeah.
that I work with online that I've
Yeah.
known for years. A couple of the ones who I thought would really like jump in for a hug because we've worked together for so long. I sent one in particular, I sent him a message beforehand because I really just wanted to make sure that I didn't make him uncomfortable
Yeah.
or embarrass him or anything like that. And so I just sent him a message beforehand and said, hey, I'm really excited to meet you in person. Just so you know, for religious reasons, I don't engage in physical contact with men who aren't my relatives. So that's why I won't shake your hand or hug you. And he was so lovely about it,
Yeah.
as I expected. And he was just like, thanks so much for letting me
Yeah.
know. I actually said as well, because I don't want to create an awkward moment for us. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, thank you so much for letting me know. That's fantastic. So there are ways that I can try to navigate it as well. But it would be really fantastic if events considered things like this, because again, this is not a Muslim thing. There are people who, have, I mean, all the reasons are valid, but who have especially valid reasons
Yeah.
through, trauma,
Yeah.
whatever else, that
Health
it's
reasons.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, it just can't be done.
Yeah. There's a long list, right? So,
Yeah, there's a long list. Yeah.
yeah. And it could just be, I don't like it, right? And that's
Yes.
very valid
That's
as
valid
well.
enough. Exactly.
Okay. So we talked about some solutions. I think you mentioned that one of the events you went for ice cream, like you proposed the idea for ice cream, and a bunch of people went.
Okay, so this post went absolutely viral. Basically, because I posted about it on LinkedIn afterwards. Basically, I was at this event and we'd had a really great time. I think it was like the second to last night,
Uh-huh.
and I was in Spain, and we were all, we wanted to have fun. And so then the conversation kind of starts, and the conversation is, hey, let's go to a club. Let's go to a club. Was it a bar or club? I can't remember, but let's go to a club. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to go home and just like do nothing. And I was like, well, maybe I don't have to. So I turned to my friend and I was like, hey, do you want to go for ice cream instead? And she said, oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah, okay, let's do that. So she turned to someone else. She was like, do you want to go for ice cream? We're going for ice cream. And they're like, yeah. And then she turned to another, do you want to
Yeah.
go for ice cream? We're going for ice cream. And then suddenly the entire group, about 20 of us,
That's
were like, yeah,
amazing.
we're going for ice cream. So
Yeah.
no one ended up going to the club, at least not at first anyway.
Yeah.
And we all ended up walking down like the Valencia promenade, all 20 of us from this event, and went for ice cream. And it was just so much fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then I posted about it on LinkedIn a few days later. It went absolutely viral. There were people commenting and saying things like, I would have chosen the ice cream too. If you want to go club, you can go for ice cream. And it just opened up a really great conversation about inclusivity and, just alternatives. Because I don't expect events to be catered for my particular needs. I know
Right.
that, everyone has needs, everyone has preferences.
Yeah.
I'm not more important than anyone else. I would just love alternatives.
Yes.
I'm not asking you to replace anything and get rid of anything
Yeah.
else, but I would love an alternative.
Yeah. No, I think that's completely reasonable. And as we just start to acknowledge that there's a broad diversity of people, and there's a broad diversity of people who have similar challenges, but for different reasons, right? And so all the more reason for people who are planning any type of event or party to help people feel like they belong by providing options that work for them. Okay, I've got another podcast recommendation for you. It's Augmenters, hosted by Julie Meyer and Jimmy Edgerton, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So on this show, Julie and Jimmy dive into mentoring and explore ways to augment and refresh the mentoring environment. They're using 8 core principles that weave relevant spirit guides and diverse guests, and Julie and Jimmy use a lot of humor and practical tips to help mentors and mentees get further faster together. There's so many great episodes to tune into for this show, but one that you might find especially interesting is their latest episode, number 120, Mentoring Across Gender, Men as Allies and Mentors. Listen to Augmenters wherever you get your podcasts. Can you just talk a little bit? I think you covered it earlier, but I just want to make sure we put the right amount of attention on this. How does not having this options impact the success that you have at these types of events? And like in the success of the events, and it trickles down. It's beyond just the event because it has career impact on your business too, I'm imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is that I'm actually like actively excluded from being able to partake in certain things, because it's not like, again, it's not like they have here's our networking event. This one, this one's at a bar, and then this one is like in the events room,
Yeah.
over here, whatever. There is no alternative. There's
Yeah.
nowhere else for me to go. It's this
It's a
one
bar or a bar.
not. Oh no, yeah. There's nothing else. And so I can't partake in the activity. I choose not to partake. And so I miss out on meeting people, which is the most important thing when it comes to events. You know that the gold and the opportunities are just in talking to people. And so you want to be there talking to people.
Yeah.
And then I'm very open about why I don't go to like certain events.
Yeah.
And not in a judgmental way, but I'm very passionate about inclusivity. And so these are conversations that I'm always having, and people know about this. So for me, this isn't an issue, but I imagine for other people who maybe don't feel as confident or comfortable talking about this, they then just appear maybe to just be excluding themselves intentionally. Just, I don't want to partake. I'm not interested in partaking.
Yeah.
I'm like remove myself from this, and I don't want to be around people. And when that's not the case at all, it's just not the case. And so I think that it has a very like direct impact, I think. Because those connections, those friendships can be so strong and so valuable and so lucrative as well.
Yeah.
And I don't get to have them if I can't like find a way around this.
And so often I think that people forget that at so many business events, the most important part of the business event is the things that happened with the people who are attending. Like it's not necessarily on the stage or the content or material that you get. It's depending on the type of event, it's so much of those connections that you make. I remember whenever I was pregnant with Luna, I spoke at an event and I was sick. I was in my first trimester and I was getting invitations to go to different dinners and connect. And I remember after I had given my talk, which I'm so thankful I was able to make it through. I thought I was going to throw up in the middle of it. But after the talk, I was invited by the founder of the company who organized the event, plus like a few other people. And it was like a very exclusive thing for dinner. And I had to decline it. Like I didn't make it to one event that entire conference. And I just remember feeling like a failure, feeling like, I missed out on so much opportunity to connect deeply with people in a way that could impact my business positively. And there's nothing the event organizers could have done. Nobody knew that I was pregnant, but it's just that feeling of wanting to participate, but for some reason why you can't. It does have like this ripple effect beyond the event, right? And I think that if as organizers, we think about customer success, how do we ensure the success proactively by thinking about the people's various identities and what it is that they might need, or how might the things that we want to plan, how can they be catered for the maximum number of people to achieve success? I think that it lends ourselves to think more broadly and not just kind of, take the easy, been there, done that, cookie cutter
Mhm.
approach, because increasingly it's not working for a broader as many people as it used to, or as
Yeah.
maybe they thought. Maybe it never worked for a broad number of people, but people just kind of forced their way through it.
Mhm.
But it helps more the people that they're trying to serve achieve success. And that's the whole point, right? Like you want the
Yeah.
people that you're serving to achieve success.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be clear, the two big events that I'm thinking of, I traveled internationally for them and I was a speaker at both.
Yeah.
And so it's an even bigger deal in
Yeah.
that, you know, as a speaker, you want to be talking to people.
Yeah.
And actually, people want to be talking to you as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It works both ways.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's difficult. And I think another thing with the alcohol situation is it's actually not fun being the only sober person
Mm-hmm.
in a place, especially when things get sometimes a little bit rowdy
Yeah.
and a little bit uncomfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's sometimes just not fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Totally get that. All
yeah.
right. If you could wave a magic wand, right, and make it so events, and these are any type of events, right? Particularly the ones that we go through for work. What would you do to make sure that, like, as someone who's trying intentionally to make sure that you're able to include the most people as possible and help them achieve success? What would you change?
Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd actually ask people if they had any requirements
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think that's something that's usually done anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think that events are getting a lot better.
Yeah.
Like I've been to events where obviously there's various like food options now.
Mm-hmm.
The last event that I went to had a room for people who were neurodivergent and
Mm-hmm.
who just needed a quiet space. And it was
Nice.
there, it was available for them all day. They could just pop
Yeah.
in, stay as long as they wanted, leave whenever they wanted. And so I see event hosts caring about this stuff and
Yeah.
caring about making people feel included and making them feel like they belong, which is amazing. But I still don't see a lot of events asking their
Yeah.
speakers or their attendees like, hey, is there anything that you require? I see them asking, what are your dietary requirements, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes.
Do you require any additional support in terms of accessibility, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But these are very specific questions for very specific circumstances, and there are lots of circumstances outside of things that I haven't even spoken about today. There are things
Yeah.
that I know that I haven't even thought of or can't even imagine because it's
Right.
just not in my. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know, and I just think this is why it's important to ask.
Yeah. And I would say it's important to ask the question. And I'm glad that you said that. I think that sometimes at the point where people are registering, it might be too late for
Mm,
that event. So let's say you have an event that's happening already, you're already farther down in the planning cycle. I would love to see like a post event questionnaire where people are able to do that, or feedback session, or even during the event, like, is there something, because who never, like, they might be able to scramble like on site and create like an ice cream social, right, like where
yeah.
everybody has an opportunity. But if we get into the habit of asking people more frequently, then whenever it comes time to plan something, which the lead time for event planning in a lot of instances is very long, if you already have like a good idea of what people are saying that they need or what would make it better, then you have this time to organize your resources in a way so that you can have that continuous improvement and invite people, even I would say, to co-create that with you,
Mm.
so that you don't feel like you have to do all of it or come up with all the ideas on your own.
Yeah. There was an event that I was a speaker at and that I was traveling to internationally that actually took place on Eid Day. And Eid, for anyone who doesn't
Oh,
know,
wow.
is our biggest religious festival. You can compare it to Christmas if we're trying to find things to compare it to. It's like, imagine going to speak at an event on Christmas Day,
Yeah.
and I said yes to it a year in advance, having not looked at my calendar.
Got it.
And 100% that's my fault. But also, events, so this is why I still want to do the event,
Yeah.
but also a host should be looking at calendars
Yeah.
to check on a bigger scale. Is this going to conflict with any religious festivals, any major holidays, any,
Yeah.
because again, there are so many holidays
Right.
that are not Christmas
Yeah.
that also deserve to be seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So much good stuff, Eman. So much good stuff. Okay. I am curious if you could tell me about a time as a consumer, and it doesn't have to be event related or anything, where a brand made you feel like you belonged.
Okay. Does it have to be it doesn't have to be a brand that everyone knows, right? It can be a
No,
hotel.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This actually happened really recently. So this happened last weekend. I actually, me and my husband booked a staycation for me and my
Nice.
son, me and my
Okay.
oldest son,
Okay.
because I go on staycations every so often, and then my son, he's 8, is always just like, "Why are you going without me? Why are you going there? Why are you going by yourself? Why don't you ever take me?" So we decided that I'd take him this time, and we have been so excited about it. Like, we planned it all out, takeout, Harry Potter on repeat, just all weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, we just were so excited about it. And then 2 days before, I tripped on a pavement, had a really bad fall.
Oh
And
no.
yeah, I thought I'd broken my ankle in the moment. I was convinced it was so bad. Turns out it was a torn ligament in my ankle. And so I have been in a cast since then, and will be for the next 3-ish weeks. Okay. So I couldn't walk. That day I was in a wheelchair at the hospital. And so I'm sat in this wheelchair thinking, this world is not equipped for
Yeah.
people in wheelchairs. This is absolutely terrible. And again, that was me just being in a wheelchair for 6 hours,
Yeah.
7 hours. So I get this cast put on. I can't walk. I cannot walk. And I'm thinking, how are we going to go to this vacation? How are we going to do this? Canceling is not an option because my 8-year-old would never forgive me. And we were both so excited. And it was non-refundable. And I was just like, I am going to make this happen by hook or crook. It's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it is. So anyway, planned it all. Didn't have to walk very much. Took taxis everywhere we needed to go. I decided that I was going to call the hotel in advance. It was the day of.
Mm-hmm.
It was the day that we were going in the morning. And I called them and I said, "Hey, I had an accident. I'm in a cast. I can't walk." I'd been to this hotel before, so I knew it was a big hotel and it required a lot of walking to get to the rooms.
Yeah.
So is there any way that you can put me in a room that is accessible for me?
Yeah.
And they said, "Yes, absolutely, no problem." And it was so easy and so simple.
Yeah.
And they went out of their way to put me in a room that was, again, this room that was very accessible. It was right next to the lift, so I barely had to walk at all.
Yeah.
The room was bigger just to give me more space.
Yeah.
The bathroom was bigger to give me more just maneuver space. The shower had a chair in it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so funny is I was thinking, oh, I'm not going to need that because I'd only been in this cast for 24 hours. So at this point, I'm thinking, oh, I don't need a chair. That's really helpful, but I don't need it. Turns out I did need the chair. So that was great. And it had, handles everywhere, which again, I didn't realize how much I needed, especially when the injury was so kind of, new.
Yeah.
And they were just absolutely fantastic. And they could have said, "No, you're due to check in a few hours. We don't have one available. We can't make this happen." They just made it so easy, and I had an amazing time. And then we got there, and then they were just so lovely on arrival. And it was just such a pleasant experience and really made me feel like they cared. They cared about me coming, about me enjoying the stay, about me not being in pain.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll ever go to another hotel in the city. That's my only staycation hotel.
Yeah, that's a real testament to they made you feel seen, supported, like you belonged, and it leads to some real strong loyalty. And I think it's amazing.
It really does.
I think it's amazing. I love that story. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you and your work?
Thank you. You can find me and my team at emancopyco.com. That's our website. If you do love listening to podcasts because you're here, check out my multi-award winning HubSpot podcast, Mistakes That Made Me. That's where I interview extraordinary business owners and ask them to share their biggest business mistake. And I have had Sonia on the podcast, so it's the latest episode, so go check it out. That was a brilliant conversation. And I'm also on Instagram at Eman Copyco, so find me over there.
Cool. I will link up to all of those, including our podcast episode,
Yes.
so people can access it easily. I love, 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 love your podcast. So I'm excited for other people to have a listen as well. Eman, any parting words of wisdom for marketers and business leaders who find themselves working with and serving people from different cultural backgrounds, norms, identities, just whenever they find themselves working with and serving a broad diversity of people, how can they do a better job of serving them at events particularly?
This answer is not very specific, but I think just people seeing, knowing and hearing that you care, that you actually care, because we've come such a long way where it wasn't that long ago that nobody cared. This wasn't a conversation. People rolled their eyes at the idea of inclusivity or diversity. And I know some people still do, but a lot of people care. And so I think just having these conversations, making people feel seen and heard and understood and like they matter, I think that that's just the direction that we need to keep going in.
It goes a long way. And whenever I go think back to like the actual definition of inclusive marketing, the first part of it is like acknowledging the many ways in which people are different. Like we just have to acknowledge, like if we start by acknowledging that there are differences and not everybody's the same, it goes a long way towards helping you be successful in other areas.
And this is the thing, can I just add that? Again, we remember when I said I don't speak for all Muslims, I think, a really good way to like figure out like, hey, if you see a Muslim, especially someone who's wearing hijab or headscarf like me, you might just want to ask, hey, is it all right? Hey, really nice to meet you. Is it okay if I hug you? And it's as simple as that. It's as easy as that.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I learned so much. Thank you so much, Eman. It's really fun and insightful conversation.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Eman had so many wonderful, insightful things to share. And I bet if you're anything like me, you've created some of these faux pas as well that a lot of people are guilty of, not because they're bad people, but because they aren't thinking enough about other people and their identities and different norms and preferences that they have. But we can all change that one by one each and every day. So I'm curious, was there anything in particular that stood out from the discussion from you? Let's continue the conversation on email, on social media, because I have a feeling there are a lot more of you who have stories that are similar to Eman's. And the more we talk about it, the more change we can create. If you like this show, I also would appreciate it if you would share it with your friends, colleagues, in your network, and leave a rating and review for it in your podcast player of choice. Both of those really do go a long way towards helping more people discover the show. Another quick question for you. Are you getting the Inclusion and Marketing newsletter? If not, really, what are you even doing? Each week, I send inclusion news, insights, tips, resources, and all kinds of other good stuff to help you attract and retain a bigger, more diverse, and fiercely loyal customer base. Go to inclusionandmarketing.com/newsletter to get signed up. Until next time, remember, everyone deserves to have a place where they belong. Let's use our individual and collective power to ensure more people feel like they do. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you soon.